Hello and welcome to another SecretEntourage.com video. We're here today with Knitowski of Funware, who's going to tell us all about this very interesting all-in-one mobile platform. Alan, I'm gonna go straight into it because previous to today, I didn't know much about Funware, and so please tell me a little bit about your background and is that like your first business?
Yeah, so actually Funware is not my first business. I like to call myself a non-recovering serial entrepreneur. Every time I think I'm going to continue to do some investing on the side or join some boards, whether at the director level or advisor level, the operating call always seems to come back. So this is actually really about the fifth venture that I've actually done. I've been very blessed and fortunate since my time in the military. I was recruited out of the military as an Army officer. I was a captain and an Army Ranger. And I actually went to the University of Miami as an undergraduate on an ROTC scholarship in South Florida. I went to Georgia Tech for graduate school in industrial and systems engineering. Was granted an educational delay, and unfortunately I was commissioned as a pilot, but they said I had 2 engineering degrees. So they pulled the needs of the Army, yanked my pilot slot, put me in the Corps of Engineers, sent me to Ranger School, and then sent me off to the 94 nuclear weapons inspections of North Korea. So that was my welcome to the real world. After serving for years there, I was recruited in August of '96 to Silicon Valley, and I actually learned all about doing entrepreneurship in Silicon Valley between 1996 and 2001, which, as you can imagine, was a very interesting time in history. So what I learned there, really we could talk for hours about, but the important part is while I was in the Valley, I worked at Nortel, which was dealing with circuit switching and the migration from circuit to packet switching, things like voice over IP that we're using Skype here now. Ultimately, while I was there, I also went back to graduate school because I didn't have enough school apparently. So I did an MBA at the University of California at Berkeley and finished that literally while I was starting my first business. So my first business we built and sold to Cisco Systems. That was in packet switching and voice over IP, and then ran a chunk of the voice technology group in San Jose with Cisco Systems. After that, we had a contingency business model of how would we sell the software as a service. Back then it wasn't called SaaS. It was actually called either hosted or managed services. And we actually built a model on how businesses could buy software as a service effectively for telephony and networking needs. And that company we built sold to Level 3 Communications. And then along the way, we did one other company that was dealing with antivirus and proactive security software. And we sold that to Internet Security Systems, which was publicly trading on NASDAQ, ISSX. And then ultimately, right after that, IBM came in and bought them. So it's been a lot of dog years in young company building. The genesis for Funware was really when I moved to Texas. I spent 12 years in California, 5 in Silicon Valley, 7 in Newport Beach. Moved my family, because I have 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son, and they thought coastal Orange County was somehow normal. We said perhaps we might want to give them a slightly different perspective on life. We moved to Austin, Texas. It's also nice, much like Florida, Texas doesn't have any state taxes. If you're doing entrepreneurship for a living, that's a big deal. And so we started Funware really from a very big idea. If you think of Salesforce is to the Sales Cloud, and Buddy Media, Bazaar Voice, or even Facebook are to the social cloud, we wanted to dominate the mobile cloud. And the mobile cloud to us is the client-side applications, the server-side infrastructure, and the content that go into that high-value touch point between an enterprise brand and its anytime, anywhere audience, whether that audience was a consumer, whether it was a channel partner, or whether it was an employee. And what we really specialize in is helping very large brands at transactional scale on a worldwide basis to engage, manage, and monetize their global audiences on mobile.
So you said very large brands, and from what I understand, you guys have some really big clients. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so much like if you think about creating a platform and we wanted to have a mobile engine, think of it like a mobile overlay to the world. We wanted to reach out with large brands by vertical and say if you're using the Funware engine, the use cases, feature sets, and requirements of each vertical might be different for media and entertainment versus sports versus technology versus healthcare, but the reality is the underlying core technology was identical. We, in the media and entertainment space, if you download applications and you use CBS, NBC, Univision, Telemundo, ESPN, and scores of others from Discovery and Turner and others, all of those are Funware-powered experiences. If you go into the sports and you download things like NFL 2013 for the recent NFL draft, or you download NASCAR, things like NHRA, Circuit of the Americas for Formula One, MotoGP, and even Callaway Golf, we built all of those kind of applications and managed the back end for the sports vertical. And what we've done is we started the business where consumers adopted. And obviously passion brands and media, entertainment, sports, technology, and travel tended to be the leaders of that space. And only now, in literally the last month, we've started closing our first ever deals in financial and insurance with companies like Transamerica. We've closed our first deals in automotive with people like Edmunds. We closed our first healthcare deals with people like UHealth in South Florida and Dexcom. And it makes sense because a lot of these verticals aren't necessarily the leaders. So what we've done is act like a big jar of mobile Advil for customers. We let them turnkey and take all the headaches away on the client, the server, and the content to go worldwide with these high-value touch points between themselves and these anytime, anywhere audiences on smartphones, tablets, and so forth. And that has worked extremely well for us. We've also made it available where if people want just certain bits of help, they can pick and choose which headaches they want help with for operational issues or monetization issues. And we make our infrastructure available because we think it would be relatively insane for us to try to build every mobile application in the world. But we honestly believe we can touch every human being on Earth through a connected device using Funware tool sets. In some cases, we'll build those applications to define categories, but in many others, we want them to depend on us like they would depend on IBM or Cisco without any sort of problems, because we've been in the one strike you're out business for the last 4 years with these kind of brands, as you can imagine.
So with these larger brands, how did you approach your first one? How did you bring, I guess this was a new concept at the time when you started,
Sure.
So how do you approach someone like any one of these people? How do you actually bring like an Edmunds to the table or NFL, it's a Callaway to the table when you're nobody, when you start?
Yeah, so that's the interesting part is no matter how many big companies or other brands you work for, when you walk in with a Cisco badge or you walk in with an AT&T badge, people behave one way. When you walk in with the name of Funware, and they don't even know what that means, you can have all the intelligence, all the education, all the ambition and passion in the world, but you have to have something credible that people want. What we did is, like we usually do, we try to focus on large, massive markets that are growing rapidly, and we try to solve extremely hard problems. So if you as an entrepreneur want to make sure that you're relevant, you have to be very ambitious, and you have to decide that you're going to solve a very hard problem because, honestly, anybody can solve the easy problems, and then you have lots of competitors. So what we tried to do is we saw everybody in the venture capital and private equity space were being funded to solve little point solutions. I'm going to do analytics. I'm going to do advertising. I'm going to do location-based tools. I'm going to do content management. And what we realized is you need to draw a box around all of that. And we wanted to be the world's first fully integrated mobile services platform. And that's required us over 4 years to invest what amounts to millions and millions of dollars into building out something that solved the real problem for someone running a mobile profit and loss at these Fortune 5,000 companies. Namely, they didn't need 15 partners from 15 point solutions with 15 architectures, 15 sets of software development kits or application programming interfaces, 15 sets of integration, and 15 logins to then figure out what in the world was even happening with these audiences around the world. And so what we do is say, here's my throat. You have one throat to choke. You have one login. We give you full visibility to all these operational and monetization headaches. And you can garner wonderful business intelligence and insight to then make smarter sales, marketing, promotion, advertising decisions for your audiences. So We found that procurement doesn't want 15 partnerships; they want a couple. We found that